today's episode of the Economy Trend Pointer. I'm your host, Immaculate Burunja, and with me is one of our resident panelists, Dr. Patrick Saisi, Head of Economics Department, Moi University. And our topic today will be Budget Implications 2016-2017. Dr. Saisi, before we start discussing the 2016-2017 financial budget, do you think Kenyans are empowered economically?
What I can say is that our economy is strong, but it can be better because as far as employment is concerned, we are not creating more jobs to keep everybody doing something. So I can see we still have an employment that is very high, and some goods and services are also very expensive, and therefore we need to do something more to bring those prices down and increase employment. Then we shall say we are better off than before.
It does not mean that the economy is not pleasing, that the current budget isn't pleasing to the economy.
The current budget has its shortfall, and we are going to look at how, for example, the creation of jobs. They are saying that it has created around 800,000 jobs, the previous one of 2015-2016. And that is not enough to create jobs for everybody. And then also that shortfall of KRA collection. It tells you something, because when the government does not have enough money to carry its mandate, then a problem occurs. So that's why I'm saying that the previous budget did not meet its obligations. And so I am worried about this incoming budget that we are going to have.
And this year's budget is 2.3 trillion. What's your comment on that?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, but 2.3 trillion, that's a lot of money. And it may be a very long shot. I wish our estimation was a little bit lower so that we live within our means. Because I look at the budget, it's 1.4 trillion that KRA is supposed, Kenya Revenue Authority is supposed to collect. And then we have almost 7 billion that we are going to borrow from outside. What if something happens and then KRA does not get its target, the money that we are supposed to borrow does not come in? What next? That is why I'm looking at the 2.3 trillion as very ambitious. I wish it was lower than that.
Dr. Speaking about KRA, the government projects that KRA should bring up 1.36 trillion, which is like 1.4 trillion. What do you think they are going to do in order to achieve this?
Well, I think, I don't know, because when you move from, the government last year gave them 1 trillion to collect, and they collected 800 billion. Now, the government has given them now from 1 trillion to 1.36, which is almost 1.4 trillion. I don't know the kind of loopholes that they are going to use for them to raise that amount, because last time they ran short of 200 billion to actually get the target that the government had said. So unless otherwise, I'm seeing them also falling short of the 1.36 trillion.
Dr. If KRA is to meet the 1.36 trillion, the target they have been given by the government, what are they to do different from what they did last time?
Now, I think, one, they must seal many loopholes. One of the loopholes is this corruption thing at the port. You heard recently there were vehicles that were released from the port without paying money to the government. Also, we have other in the informal sector. Informal sector is making a lot of money, but it looks like the collection of KRA money from informal sector is lacking. So they need to improve that area so that they can get into that informal sector, so that that informal sector can be able to contribute also its share towards KRA. That is another. Then the formal sector, they should improve by digitalizing their collection. And I'm glad I've seen some areas of digitalization, because one time I went to get my license and it was all on the computer. And so if they do that, whatever money I pay, I'm sure that money is going to the KRA for the purpose of remitting it to the government.
If KRA is going to collect 1.4 trillion, and the CS said we are going to borrow 690 billion, we already have a 3.2 trillion deficit. Is this really nice for the economy, Ama? What do you think?
I think from the government perspective, it looks like they really want KRA to work and collect that money. But as I said earlier, I'm skeptical about the KRA meeting the 1.4 trillion shillings that they are supposed to collect. Furthermore, the government is telling us that it's going to borrow almost around 700 billion shillings to fund the budget. Now, as you have said, we have almost 3 trillion in debt, this country. And we are yet to add this borrowing that we are envisaging to do. I think we are going to experience problems in future. You know, we are lucky that oil has not really gone up as far as prices are concerned. So that's why you see prices are manageable. But if you find, like Kenya, 50% of its GDP is actually the debt that we are supposed to pay. If we have a debt equivalent to 50% of what we collect as GDP, that means that, for example, I just give you for example, if we can be able to collect 900 billion Kenya shillings, then we are using almost half of that, 450,000 billion shillings to service our debt, which means we only have another 450,000 to fund recurrence and the development. Now this becomes tricky because a lot of our money will be used to service what? To service the debt. And therefore we shall have less money for development. And therefore also recurrence will also be eating into the few shillings that we shall be remaining. So it's a big problem. The debt is a burden because instead of servicing instead of using that money for development, you are using that money to service that debt. And if you are using 50% of your money that you have collected to service debt, you know what the implication to the development of this country.
Should Kenyans continue borrowing both internally and externally in order to finance our budget?
You know, there is no country that is self-reliant as far as the economy is concerned. We shall borrow, other countries will also borrow, just like international trade. We have to trade with each other because of what we call comparative advantage. Now, as Kenyans, I think the problem, we can borrow if we are using that money for development, not recurrent. Because when you use that money for development, that means you are producing goods and services, which will now add value to the existing economy. But if you borrow to pay salaries, like in this budget, the recurrent is very high. You know, it's almost 60% of the budget is under recurrent, and it's only 40% that is under development. That is the wrong way to go. We need to look at, we flip it the other way. We need 60% development and 40% recurrent. That will help us because this country will be productive. When the country is productive, producing goods and services, what does that mean? It means people are employed. It means people are having salaries. It means even suppliers will supply their goods and services to people who are actually using them. And therefore you'll find the ripple effect to be very high, and the economy will be vibrant. But what I'm seeing, a lot of the money that we are borrowing is going to recurrent, which does not really produce anything. So that is where I'm saying, if we have to borrow, we must go for money that is for development, so that that money can add value to the economy, not just consuming. We have also to invest in order to grow this economy.
In the last financial year, the economic growth was 5.6. Are we lying to ourselves when we say the economy is growing, yet the economy is growing on a debt?
You see, Immaculate, when we, the conventional figure that shows whether the country is okay is actually 5% onwards. And Kenya is within that. So we can say, even though we are not really doing very well, but we are not doing very bad, we have to pat ourselves on our backs and say, yeah, we are within the conventional figure of 5%. Because many countries in Africa, the average growth rate is 3.5, which is below the conventional figure. But my only problem, and as I have said, is that I wish we were borrowing less and the economy was growing at 5.6 or 5.8. You know, that way it means that we shall be paying less money servicing our economy and more money into development. But the problem here, even if we grow to 5.6, the money we get, we still do what? Service the debt. And therefore we just go back to where we were. It's like somebody telling you, for example, your salary is 10,000 and they have increased your salary by 2,000 so that you get 12,000. And then you used to have a debt of 5,000 shillings. And now because you have an increment of 2,000, it's 12,000, you are now saying, I can even borrow more. I can go and now borrow 2,000 more to make it 7,000. So are you better off than before? You are not, because already the 2,000 has already been eaten by the debt. So you will be paying 7,000 every month out of the 12,000, which is 5,000. So you are not better off, although you are not badly off. So what we are saying is that borrowing must be restricted, so that when we talk about economic growth being 5.6, we are saying that yes, we are growing, and yes, we are using that money into development rather than recurrent. Otherwise, for now, yes, it will grow, but a lot of that money, we are using it to service the loan. And that's where the problem is. And then the other thing is, a lot of money is being used to pay salaries. That means recurrent budget. So that is where our dilemma is. I wish the current budget was reduced. I wish borrowing was also reduced. Thank you.
Should we build our economy on grants and loans?
Grants are always good because you won't be able to pay back. So if somebody gives us grants and we are sure that the grants are coming, it's not bad. Because if somebody tells you, I want to help you, I have two shirts here, I want to give you one for free. I don't think that's bad. But the problem is that shirt going to be given? So we are saying the grants we have given. And you know, in Kenya, not only Kenya, in Africa, we sometimes are good with the donors. And then a time comes when we end up differing. And when we differ, then the donors normally say, now we are not giving you this money because of ABCD. You have to do ABCD. Do we really want to be worried that maybe if we want to do ABCD as a sovereign state, that we are not going to get money from US or England? I don't think so. So the best thing that we need to do, and I think the government of Kenya should be looking at it, is it will be better for them to reduce the amount of money they are expecting from outside and use the money that we generate from inside here to be able to strengthen our economy. Because if every time you are begging, what if you are told there isn't? What do? That is when people, now you will hear retrenchment, the big projects will fail to move, and so on and so forth. The best scenario is to live within our means, and that is not what this government is doing. Let us live within our means. I wish we could even say we want to borrow 100 billion rather than 700 billion. And then we say, okay, we can do A, B, C, D, but this one can wait. That will be the best way to go.
The economy trend pointer takes a short break, but we're coming back with the real implications of the budget and much more.